it really wasn't dealt with.
I was going to ask about that. It appears that Eureka's adopted an ordinance that on the surface would look slightly more liberal than Arcata. Certainly the number of dispensaries, it's
4.
somewhere between 4, but then there's 2 for the imports that are separate from that, and then the 4 can have 2 locations, so it sounds like somewhere between 6 and 10 locations, depending on who solicits and is accepted for the RFQ and that whole process.
And it's kind of a first come first served basis.
Right.
You know, and they have to show that they can be compliant and that they've got a business plan or whatever, I think, and that they're bona fide.
So yeah, I would like to ask, just what do you think the long-term economic and even social consequences of Eureka's new medical cannabis dispensary ordinance is going to have?
Well, I would hope that it will do what it's intended to do, which is allow people to come in and inspect or to shut down places that are growing illegally and ruining our housing base. I would hope it would do that, though, at the very minimum. I remember hearing Councilman Yeager saying that in his experience as a policeman, that a lot of the people that were using the 215 cards and stuff, actually he didn't see in his work as a policeman that was mostly valid. He thought most people, and so that's why he initially voted against it.
As part of cleaning up Old Town and revitalizing the economy, often the issue will come up with some of the local business owners that that they're left to basically be the caretakers in the absence of the asylums and so forth.
And the lack of what?
For the lack of the asylums system in California, which has been a long time ago that those were shut down. That the problem of some of the chronically homeless population that do have countervailing or overlapping mental health problems. Do you think the city's made progress in training public safety officers in how to deal with mentally ill? And as a larger issue, what do you think the city can do about homelessness that isn't being done currently, besides just saying it's the county's problem?
Right. Well, today I'm very aware that the Chamber of Commerce has been having a task force that has been consulting, I guess you'd say, with a guy from Tacoma, Washington, and that he's come down and has explained how they handled their homeless problem up there, and that they have been successful in, as a community, somehow bringing many aspects of the community together, and that they have significantly cut down on their homeless problem. So, and in fact, just this morning I ran into Linda Dizier, who is actually the person who is kind of the head of the task force, and she said it's very complex, but she said, I'd be happy to sit down with you and tell you about where we think we're going and what kind of progress we're making. So that's, I'm going to do that. I need to be more informed about that.
I understand from your press conference just over a week ago that you voluntarily committed to following the $500 campaign contribution limit that City Council passed on a pretty narrow 3-2 vote that's only coming into effect or into force in 2011.
Yeah, January.
Are you calling on your opponent to do the same?
Oh yes, I mentioned it at my kickoff announcement. It was, well, let's just kind of try to keep this as low-key as we can, so we don't have the $10,000 donors in one batch or the 5,000 or whatever. That happens in county politics, even in city politics, so we're all vulnerable to that. So let's make us all work a little harder to get our campaign money. It doesn't hurt.
And as far as electoral reform in terms of our ward system, Eureka has a system I'm struggling to find a parallel for anywhere in the state. Most states, or most cities in the state, either have at-large elections with 2 or 3 seats up per cycle. That's how Arcata and Fortuna and so forth do it. And then in the counties or in larger cities where they have wards, each ward, just like each congressional or other legislative district, elects their own representative. Mm-hmm. Do you think Eureka kind of has to choose one or the other, either go at-large or go to a true ward system as has been proposed?
I think that Eureka is too small to do a true ward system, the one where you've got 500 people here, and 500 people over there, and 500 people over there. I mean, we've only got like 11,000, wasn't 11,000 people that vote? No, it might be more than that.
That actually turn out to vote, something like that.
Yeah, it's really a very small port. So you got those people, and you've got, so many from each. There's only 5 wards, so divide that by 5, and you've only got this many people making decisions for that whole, And so it's how does that help the city move forward as a whole? I think you just have to have a bigger vision. You know, it has to be something there that, so I like the idea that I come from the West Side. You know, I've lived there for 30 years, raised my daughter there, she went to Jefferson School, I was a Girl Scout leader there. This is, you know, this is my home. I have taken pride in what I've done down there. I have helped change the nature of the neighborhood just because I was a seed project kind of thing. I was an early redevelopment loan person. I got a loan for as a single mom, or a single parent, low income at the time that I was doing that. And when I was applying for that, and so I bought a fixer-upper house that was just ready to be torn down. It was going to, you know, now it's, I think it's one of the cutest houses in Eureka. So, so redevelopment and having a well, redevelopment helped me in that sense. It also was the seed money that helped the whole neighborhood to become better. So now my whole block is actually decent.
Jumping right into redevelopment, obviously the city's had quite a bit of their redevelopment money seized by the state, perhaps more to come as the budget crisis gets worse in Sacramento. Do you think it's a situation where the city needs to use redevelopment money before it loses it? And if so, where would you want it spent?
Well, if the city has many projects planned for redevelopment, so it's not like they don't have projects. And the question might come up about which projects are the most beneficial to the purpose of redevelopment, which is pretty much infrastructure. It's not like running programs or like it's like the facade grants and that kind of thing. So the redevelopment agency, I mean, I think there becomes political reasons why they're going to do one project versus another. And I'm just hoping that whatever decision they make about how they spend their money, it's going to be the biggest bang for the buck for Eureka. And again, I don't think anybody's got a crystal ball to look down to what the state's going to do. I think they are being, the redevelopment, there's like a master association of redevelopment agencies that blankets the whole state. And I think they are fighting against having more money taken away from redevelopment.
Real quick, speaking of those small businesses, some of them definitely seem pretty displeased by the sales tax proposal on the November ballot. They just passed one 2 years ago, a quarter-cent, and now they're talking about a full half-cent to bring Eureka's sales tax rate up to the level of Arcata. Do you think that's the best way to come up with a stopgap measure to fill Eureka's budget shortfall, or should some other revenue sources be explored, or should further cuts be made?
Well, I really hate this idea that you're going to have to choose program A versus program B and have somebody just completely, you know, like the zoo, just completely decimated. We're never going to recover from that if we do that. So this could be, we're hoping that this is not a forever situation, and that if we do some things like get the balloon track started cleaning up, that there'll be jobs, that will start a forward momentum of people feeling hopeful and feeling like maybe they can do something. Maybe something's going to be better here. And I lost my train of thought because I got too down. Could you
measure up?
Oh, the TUT. So the thing that I like about the TUT, the transaction use tax, is that okay? So now we're going to be at parity like with Trinidad and with Arcata. I'm not sure what the tax is at Fortuna, but the it's kind of like the zoo, where the zoo is this, it has a huge county, the whole county impacts the zoo. Well, the same thing with Eureka. Eureka is impacted by all of these services, all of these things that we need because we're the county seat, because we have a huge number of people coming here to do business. Our roads, everything is impacted by the fact that we bring a huge number of people into the town. So this is a way that it seems to me equitable that Eurekans all by themselves aren't paying the whole load.
Lastly, the divisive atmosphere you referred to in City Hall, do you think it's really a product of just having one or two council members not going along with the majority? Obviously the city has lost a lot of top staff. Do you think that's more a consequence of some of the pretty big lawsuits the city's facing here?
I don't know that I see a relationship between like the lawsuit that you're referring to, maybe for the putting the balloon track cleanup on the, or the rezoning on the, that kind of lawsuit?
Some of the balloon track tussles, but also some of the personnel-related lawsuits involving Dave Tyson, certainly, as city manager and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
City attorney obviously has the burden of representing the city in that.
Right. You know, the true internal workings of the city, of that kind of thing, of where I think that there is a feeling in the city hall that when I talk to people that feels like there's a reason why all these people are leaving, and it's important that we follow the rule of law within the city. We do things that are according to the rules, and if people make it uncomfortable for people through maybe ignoring some of those rules, then you know, it's hard to say, you know, because it's what you hear, you know, privately and what comes out in the public, and sometimes it's completely different. Mm-hmm. But I think that, yeah, some of the actions of some of the council people have created problems. I would say I would go that far.
Just one extra one, since Mr. Glass did mention it as one of his accomplishments. Are you satisfied with the direction the city's going in for Jefferson School, where you said you had sent one of your children?
Yeah. Well, again, as I'm studying all these issues and I'm trying to bring myself up to speed on things that have been kind of the purview of the council, you know, they know things that are not everybody doesn't know. So what I've been hearing, and it just seems like, again, why does everything have to be, if I win, you lose? Why does everything have to be such a war? Maybe it's possible, you know, and some people I've been talking to, it sounds like it could be possible if there was a willingness to compromise, which means you don't get 100% of what you want, we don't get 100% of what we want, but maybe we get what's best for Eureka. So if there's any possibility that there could be a compromise reached where the actual property could get fixed up and not put into mothballs, as Mr. Glass describes it, well, we'll just have to put it into mothballs. Well, buildings don't go into mothballs without deteriorating, and there's work just to maintain a building to keep from deteriorating. And I've heard about the inside of that building and that the roof is leaking, and that there's major issues that are going to cost money just to fix, just to stabilize it. And again, we got that issue where redevelopment money would be playing into this. So if there was a possibility, just hypothetically, of everybody coming together and making some sort of a compromise, everybody getting a little bit of what they wanted, the neighbors getting a park, the North Coast Children's Services getting an adjunct to their Head Start area and using up their money that they've got targeted, and maybe, who knows, College of the Redwoods taking on the other part to flesh out some of the program needs that they are apparently facing, and might have the money. I mean, if it could be a win-win for everybody, so much the better. Let's hope that that could happen.
Marian Brady, thanks so much for coming down to Has-Beens again.
Hey, thanks for letting me chat with you. Please.
Hi, this is Larry Jackson, Blue Ox Radio. We're down here, we're just cranking it out 24 hours a day for your enjoyment. And we sure hope you like what we're playing. We welcome your suggestions. If you want to get involved, that's good too. We can always use more volunteers. I'd like to thank the folks at Prometheus Radio for giving us a hand getting this station started. I mean, this is radio the way it used to be, probably the way it should be. Non-commercial, community-driven.